Good evening, guys, and welcome back to the classroom with Architect Mark. And tonight, it's uh, gonna be Christmas time. Tomorrow, if I do record at the same time, uh, I want to talk about another one of those topics, like the one before this, which is all about uh, redundancies. This time, however, I would like to talk about compatibility and what that entails for, well, both hardware and software and everything else that you might be encountering. So let's head on over to our blue board and then start the timer off, and let's talk about compatibility. All right. So what does this really actually mean? If something is compatible with another thing, that means they talk to each other really well, extremely well. So let's say for hardware, there's ports. So hardware, we have like USB-Cs or USB types. Yeah, there's a lot of them. So from the old one to the newest one, that's basically A, B, and C. And then it went from USB Type A, which is the big one. It was like that. And then USB Type B was the micro, mini, and micro USB. So it was like this. And then micro was an even smaller version of that, right? That. So these are all drawn in relative isometric design. Now, USB Type C is just, straight with a rounded side, and it goes on reverse. So was Type A, mini, and micro. C. Right now, I do still have some mini drives, so I need the cable for that. This cable specifically, this one. You can see that. Yep, this is the mini. Then, so I'm keeping a wire for that. I have a couple more, but this is uh, relatively short and it works. And that's the most important thing. Now, with each of these, there are advantages. Uh, Power can be driven as the technology moves forward. Power is now delivered with C. It was delivered before, but not as much, so it increases over time. So that's something. Compatibility for hardware. Now, what about the software side? Yes, these exist, and the reason I thought about thought about this video is because um, one time when actually it's not one time, it's uh, pretty often. When you talk to engineers or some other allied professionals, chances are you're probably not using the same version of any specific software, which means your outputs, uh, your files basically, have extensions that, even though they're the same, doesn't really work. And it's quite annoying. So, like, the major file type is DWG or drawing, which is an AutoCAD uh, native file. And there's a lot of versions up until the most current, which is the 2018 version. I'm not sure if the 2021 AutoCAD version created or developed a new container for this data. But from 2018, it goes so much further down the line. Even farther than 2001 or 2000. I think it's being, uh, when you try to save one in this format, uh, it's written like that, 2000 or 2001. Now you'd probably be thinking, why would people still have these outdated softwares? Well, for one, before these subscription things happened, softwares were purchased uh, or licensed perpetually on a machine. So older firms have licenses for their machines, and these are a specific version also. And if you want to work with this firm, you need to make sure that your files are compatible with theirs so they can read your inputs and you can read their inputs. Usually, if you have the updated software, you are able to uh, save down. So this is the primary requirement here. One of you should have the updated software so you can go down the line. So if by default you save your files in the most present version, like this, uh, you need to convert it or save as something else, a different format container. And what happens with that is, uh, oftentimes when you save down meaning save to an older file version, the file size goes up. So older versions, larger file sizes. Why? Because these are less efficient and require more data, which now has been consolidated into new containers. That's why the newer versions have smaller data footprints. I hope that makes sense. So older, larger, newer, smaller. So more efficiency. Now, of course, this doesn't apply to all types of uh, all this programs. These are mostly for drafting type programs because when you go to create a document right now, which is doc, like let's use the Microsoft standard here. Uh, they just appended it to become docx, pptx, and xlsx. And oftentimes, you can open this on softwares that read this. And vice versa. So it's highly compatible. Highly. Not like uh, drafting programs. And this is just for CAD. There's a lot more programs in Autodesk, uh, in the stable of Autodesk for other types of programs. Like, for example, when you're sharing, this is 2D. So when we talk about 3D, there is something of a standard uh, BOBJ. Oops, the dot goes before. So dot .obj and then dot .stl. This one becoming increasingly important because of 3D printing. So this allows for it. This is this actually means stereo photography. Not so sure about the spelling of this second one here, but I do believe that is correct. I think these are just, objects. Now, of course, double tap there. Proprietary programs, like, for example, if you work with SketchUp, it's SKP, and even that has versions too. Even though these programs, 3D programs, have specific file name extensions, they often are able to export into either OBJ or STL, but most likely exports to this. So most programs will do this. However, when you do that, you lose fidelity. You lose uh, a huge amount of data when you convert to OBJ, like history, uh, what else? Mapping. Those things are just gone because OBJ is a pretty basic type of geometry. And it's also becoming important now so that you can put them in AR or VR environments, which you might want to be looking at also. So uh, here's to hoping that this Christmas season, whatever you get, will be compatible with the material that you already have. Or if not, they extend the compatibility of your setup. So I think that's it for our 60th recording or episode. And I don't know, maybe I'll take 2 days break. I will see. And yeah, I will see you guys again very, very soon. So take care and have a happy holiday. Merry Christmas. See you then.